guys, you ready for another fun project? We got a 93 Chevy Corvette. We're going to replace the rear shocks with some new Bilsteins. I got them right here, and I'm going to show you some tips and tricks on how to get it done right. 84 to 96 are all pretty much the same, the C4 models. So let's take a look. So we got the car jacked up, safety jack stands are in there, and here's the shock in the rear. I'm on the passenger side rear. We got one mounting bolt down here, and we've got two mounting bolts right up top, right here and over here. So we're going to remove those and get to the next step. Alright, so we got the suspension supported with a jack down here. I got a jack under here with a piece of wood to support this up a little bit, because I'm going to release these two bolts right here. These are a 13 millimeter, the one here and the one here, and down here at the bottom, the main nut, we've got a 18 millimeter. So I'm using a 1/2 inch socket on that. We'll get that off after. But let's start with this here. Got this one loose, and I'll go to this side. Alright, so we got these two 13 bolts loose. They're ready to drop out. Now let's get under there and get that 18 millimeter off the bottom. And then we should be able to get the shock out. Glad Chaos isn't around today. Anybody follows my videos knows Chaos. Oh boy. Alright, that nut is off. There's a nut and there's a washer. Make sure you put that washer back when you're done. Now what I'm going to do is slide the shock towards the inside this way. You see me? This way. Towards the center of the car. And then I'm going to take these other two bolts out. I got one here. I'll come up around top. Got the one. There's one of those 13s. About 1.25 inches long. Now this is going to drop down. Let me zoom in. Let's zoom in. There we go. And this is going to drop out of here. See the plate? There's a plate here. You don't need to go inside the car. There's no reason for it. The frame rail's in the way anyway. You wouldn't be able to get to this top nut, which we're going to need to do to change this out. So here's the old one out with 57,000 miles on it. So this is what it looks like. A little bit of oil drippage, and we'll get a new one on. It still has a little bit of pressure, but not much. The bushings in here are cracked up a little bit. So what we need to do next is, we got the new one. Here's the Bilstein replacement. So we're going to transfer this bracket to this with the new bushings that they provide. They give you new bushings and new washers. So all that here will be replaced with this. Now I'll show you a trick on the top here. The way to hold this stuff from spinning, you need a 5 millimeter Allen wrench. So if you get your 5 millimeter Allen wrench, if you don't want this thing to spin, you can hold it right in the top, right down in there. So anyway, you can use that on the fronts. That's more handy where you don't have this bracket. Alright, let's get to the next step. So what we're doing now is transferring this stuff. What I'll do is I'll clamp a small pair of vice grips right onto the end of this here. See, this is flat. There's a flat spot here. So I'll clamp that down real tight. But before I do that, I'm going to take the 15mm wrench I have, place that on top, it's 15, and then I'll clamp it. Nice. And now I've got some PB Blaster penetrant on the threads to try to help this move a little bit. It's a little bit stiff, but you hear it, it's moving. So I'm going to back it out as far as I can, and then I'll remove the vice grip so we can get the nut off of here and transfer that bracket. Put our new bushings and stuff on. Alright, it's bottomed out, so we'll release this. You see it's up here now. This thing's getting loose. So what I'll do is now it wants to keep spinning. Since I'm getting rid of this shock, I'm going to clamp onto the, you can't see it, but onto the rod here. This part down in here, so it won't spin on us. Got the needle nose vice grips. I'm going to go in right here, right there with it. Let's get you a shot of that right in there, and that's what these look like. So I'll get up under that washer. You can see where I'm gripping it, right in there. Get a good bite on that. As long as you're not biting us, dude. You know what I'm talking about, Chaos. At least he's behaving himself today. Alright, here we go. That's it. This is loose. Off comes the nut. Got a washer, don't forget that. This is an old bushing. We've got a new bushing and a new washer, which is, the kit comes with one's black and one's chrome colored. So the chrome one I believe is on top. We'll figure it out. Let me check. Don't hold me to it yet. Let me take the other part, this piece apart. Here's your bracket. We'll clean this all up. There's the other bushing right here. So that bushing, there's two bushings in the new kit. One is kind of convex here. That goes on the top. And then this one is on the bottom. It's got a nipple. I like saying that word. See that nipple? Alright, we'll tweak that nipple right on there. So let's take this off. That goes like that. Then we got a washer on the bottom. Okay. So, here's how I'm going to do it. Here's the new shock. Let me show you what it looks like with this off. This cover comes off, see? There you go. You slide this on. There's a C clip right here. E clip that holds this, supports this. Alright, that just sits on there like that. And we get our washers. We don't need this anymore. So the bottom black washer, the dome is down, and the dip, the curve, the concave part is up. Goes on first, on top of your boot, bushing with the nipple. Got your bracket. Now the bracket is, see how that's cupped inside here? It's flat on top. The flat side goes up. You want that pointing up. Not like this. You want it like this. Down on here. Now that fits over that bushing. Wiggle that on there a little bit. Then we take our concave bushing on top of that. Silver washer. The cup side down. Then you get a 6mm hex Allen key. That's going to go in here. I told you about earlier. So we'll get our nut started. You're going to need that to tighten this down. So we got our wrench, and we need a different size because it's not the factory OEM size. Let's go get the wrench. Be right back. Alright, Chaos tried to bite us there, but it ain't working. Alright, we got the right wrench now. 17mm. Alright, so we get this started. Don't worry about what position this is in correlation to this bushing down here, because you can spin this. You'll be able to turn this to where you need it. So get that hand started, get the wrench on it, get our Allen in there. Now we can hold it and we start cranking. Now what I do is I apply enough pressure where the bushing just starts to get to the same diameter as the upper washer here. That's how I know how much tension is on that. And you'll see that bushing will start to press, kind of squeeze out a little bit. Alright, instead of watching this, we'll come back when I've got it all in, or tightened. Alright, so that bushing is just to the edge of this here. So we're good there. Alright, all we got to do now is basically slip this back up. Oop, let's get the camera up. There we go. What we'll do now is we'll slip this back up into there, slide this onto the bolt down at the bottom, the shaft. I'll show that to you in a second, and we'll take it from there. Yeah, Chaos walked away. He wasn't causing any problems, so he wasn't any help. But anyhow, got this on. I don't have the washer like the original because this is a wider nut and it's sitting on this washer. I don't need it. And all we do now is position this up. We're going to slide the bottom right onto this bolt here. I'm going to slip this part right onto it, just like that. Boom. And that'll be on. But before that, this is going up in. I'm going to line up these holes, these two holes here, put these two bolts in and get it started. So let's do it. I did a little wheel well detailing while the camera was off. Didn't want to bore you guys with that. So we made it a little bit shinier in here. Compress up on the shock a little bit. Got that top in. And what I'll do now is I'm going to drop this jack down. You can't see it. I'm going to drop this jack down a little bit so I get a little more room to slide that on, because it's a little snug. So we'll just drop it down a little bit. There we go. Get rid of some of that pressure. Let me get these bolts started. That's one. You gotta kind of do it by feel. You can't really see up in there too well. All right, now let me give this guy down here a little tap. It's being stubborn. Maybe Chaos should have hung around, huh? All right. There it goes. I've got a one of these rubber mallets, so I'm not damaging it. Just gently tapping on the bottom. There it goes. Now it's in position. We grab the nut and the washer. Slide the washer on. Put the nut on. And I'm not going to use the air gun to tighten this down. I'm going to get a ratchet and hand tighten this 8mm to the torque, the proper torque specs. Look that up in your service manual. Yep. That's what these are for. Torque wrench. All right, I'll snug this stuff up. We'll get back. We'll wrap it up. I'm having fun. Hope you are. Let's take a look at it now. It's in. Everything's been torqued down. These two bolts up here are nice and snug. This one and this one back over here. And then come down here. Doesn't that look pretty? You gotta love them for $100 a corner. And there's that part. Now we can drop this jack. We don't need this supporting that anymore. So let's lower this and watch this drop down. There we go. Weight's off. This side's done. So we'll get the other side done and we'll take it from there, but it'll make a big difference. Alright, let's talk a little bit about the shocks on the wrap-up since that stuff's in. Now here's the old one here. I'll take the cover off and I want to show you guys. This has 57,000 miles on it. It's original to the car. You can see the oil, not just on the outside that's run out, but if you look in here, let me see if I can smear a little bit of it. You can see how greasy and oily it is. The seal's gone. The gas has escaped, most likely. So that's why it's not really doing its job. The problem I was having with this car is in a curve, you know, if you drive it like a Corvette should be driven, and you're going around a curve and there's a small bump, well, the car tends to unload. So the suspension unloads and then it shoots to the outside of the curve. You get that loose feeling. So anyway, the new shocks, I'm putting them all the way around on all four corners. Maybe I'll get a shot of the front too and throw that on a separate video. But anyway, you see who's still hanging around. He can never get enough. He's a pain in the butt. But it's pretty hot out here today. It's humid. I'm done. Time for a cold drink. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe. If you're not signed up to YouTube, do it. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. You can comment. Don't forget to like. Stay tuned for the next one. Take it easy.